Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Nick Cage Fight Podcast, a special episode because we're at our second ranking episode. This is where we put the fight into the Nick Cage Fight Podcast title. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by Rich and Ryan. And I hope you guys are angry and have your PowerPoints ready and are ready to sort of hash out our opinions of the 22 films that we have watched since starting this and appropriately give them their due or appropriate criticisms. How are we, guys?
I'm pretty good. I just rewatched like 10 of these movies in the past 3 days. So I'm back to being thoroughly cage pilled.
I started that way, but I got to admit, when you put them all into a battle royale situation, I find myself a little bit flummoxed. So I'm hoping to gain some clarity. Yeah, nobody wins but the blood god in this one. I'm fairly certain, but no housekeeping, no plot points, just fighting, really.
Oh, we could do a quick housekeeping.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Nick Cage is in all of these movies.
He is in all of these movies, exactly.
All right, good. That's wrapped up relatively simply. So, Rich, I view you as the keeper of the records here, and I'm assuming this is going to change your ledger book around a little bit, but it seems only appropriate for you to select where we start as far as our ranking categories. So for the listener and all of us as well, let's just clarify the categories we have. We have overall movie quality ranking, from best to worst. Then we have out of 5 stars, what we got going on there for each of these films. And then the eponymous categories that we cover at the end of every episode. We have the cage hair. We have most unhinged scene. We have most unhinged overall. We have Nick Cage nudity. And then, of course, we have the overall Cage performance specifically. Where do you want to start?
Yes, I think tell us, oh, keeper of the scrolls.
I think we should start with nudity because it is going to be the easiest to get through, and I'll bet you we all kind of have the same.
I mean, there's only 3 movies.
Correct.
That have nudity, so I think we can pound this one out real quick. No pun intended.
All right.
Oh, I intend the pun.
Who wants to go first? I also do. I agree. I think we're all going to be in exact agreement here. So what are the 3 movies, guys?
To me, number 1 is Zandali. I'm pretty sure we get some.
Away.
Yeah, we get some. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we get some Ballsack, right?
We get balls and possibly Shaft, and it's either Shadow or The Real Deal. Either way, leaps and bounds ahead of every other film we've seen.
That movie drove me insane. I am gonna have to buy that Laserdisc just so I can freeze frame and zoom in and see, what's going on down there.
Make sure you get the right cut. I did not get the correct cut and had to cram for the exam right before we recorded that episode.
Number 2, Rumblefish, because we get full on cage butt.
We do. We get that is also correct. This is the only part of the episode that has right and wrong answers. And we are 2 out of 3 so far.
Yeah, and 3, obviously, Valley Girl.
Correct.
It's the only other one where you see some cage butt, I believe.
No, it's full bare chest, but what solidifies it in the 3rd place slot is the 3-inch inseam on those swimming trunks he's wearing.
Okay, that's why I thought I was trying to think. I'm like, oh, did we get some cage butt in there? Because I was actually confused as to why it was on the list, and that's why I ranked it 3rd. Because I'm just like, if there was nudity, I don't remember.
Yeah, no, shirtless and a 3-inch inseam on those swim trunks, I think qualifies it. Plus, you really don't get too much cage nudity in the rest of these. So
yeah, I think it's a good consolation prize for it. You also get the bare chest when he's waking up in the sleeping bag on her on her lawn towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, it doesn't hold a candle to the beach scene, but it did still earn its spot.
Yes. So in preparation that we may have to cut this into 2 episodes, I think that we should get right into it and do overall movie quality.
It's smart and tough. We'll see if it ends up being tough but fair. I'm curious to see where everybody lands. I think there's going to be a fair amount of overlap here. We're working on a group spreadsheet here, and we have them all heat mapped. And I can see that Ryan and I are roughly in agreement with a couple of standouts, but
I'm a mystery. I'm a
Yeah, you're the
wild card
wild
right
card
now.
on this one.
Zandalay needs to be higher. I'm calling it now.
All right. Where are we starting, Rich? Are we starting at the
I
top
want
or
to start
bottom?
I want to start from the bottom.
Smart. Okay.
Yeah, we'll work our way up. I don't think it's going to be any surprise as to what number one is going to be for any of us, just based off of our original rankings, which I do also have. I do have the rankings of, at the end of each episode, we're like, okay, where are we ranking this? I still have those. Mine changed quite a bit. Not really the top or the bottom, although there was some minor shuffling, but that middle really got upended.
The middle is tough. The middle is where this list gets ugly.
So I didn't give anything 0 stars. I wanted to give, the lowest things a quarter star, which I did with Next.
I gave it a fucking 0.
I gave it a 0. I gave my bottom 3 zeros. They all suck shit.
Yeah, I just didn't want to do. I'm in agreement with you. I just didn't want to go 0 in case there is something that is so egregious. Like Next was bad. It was very, very, very bad. It was still something I may watch again to be like, yo, you got to fucking see how bad this movie is.
Yeah,
I don't think it's even redeemable in that aspect. I've seen some good bad movies. That is a bad movie.
That is the only impressive thing about it is how well it walks the line between falling over into enjoyable bad. I love a shitty movie. I'll say it outright. That movie was designed in a lab to be completely unenjoyable.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So yeah, next, bottom of the barrel. What do we got next?
Absolutely.
After Next. What's next after Next?
So I have Christmas Carol at half a star. The reason why I give it half a star is because I think a part of me didn't quite understand the British animation style. Plus, I feel like Nick Cage did kind of give a nice little spooky voice, even though it was only 4 minutes long.
I mean, yeah, that'll go in the performance section, but that movie was boring as hell.
It was.
It's a gray sludge.
I agree. That is my second to last spot as well. It was just meh.
Yeah, I thought it was better than Next. That's the only thing I can say about it. So that's why I decided to give it a full quarter star better. Number 3, the third worst, G-Force.
Correct. Yes.
I did give it 1 star. Because I thought it was a serviceable kids movie. I feel like if I had a 3-year-old, I could put this on and they would find it entertaining.
Okay, so I find the age that you call out interesting because 3-year-olds don't know shit. If I put this in front of a 5 to 7-year-old, they would walk away from the TV.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. Maybe they sing some of the Black Eyed Peas songs, but...
So I'm going to call myself out because I had originally placed G-Force over Knowing, just because Knowing was...
that's incorrect.
Whoa, you have Knowing that low?
I'm adjusting. Also, yes, if it's not here, it's 1 spot above.
I mean, I have it in the lower third, but it's at the top of the lower third.
It's bland.
It is bland. It's below the Ghost Rider movies for me, but it ain't getting much higher than that.
But I am correcting it. This is another reason why I enjoy the fight part of the ranking episodes, because you're right. You throw some things into relief. G-Force is arguably the worst of those two, but I feel like I would watch that again before I watch the weird pedophile angel alien movie. Personally, I don't know.
I think I could get more enjoyment out of rewatching Knowing and all of the weird fucking Nick Cage Googling 9/11 for 10 minutes.
That's true. It's just I think I held a grudge against it because it got me interested, and then by the end it felt like a waste. G-Force, I kind of knew what I was in for the whole time and gave it points for honesty.
I mean, okay,
I disagree with that. I mean, G-Force is so formulaic. It's so boring. Everything about it is grating to me. I cannot see a future where that gets any higher than bottom third.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Oh, it's truly bottom. It's truly bottom third.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, I have it literally 2 movies higher. It's fine. I was just shocked you had it over G-Force. So number 4, I have USS Indianapolis as a 4th worst movie.
I have that ahead of Knowing.
I mean, they are both. Listen, I mean, they're both 1 1/4 star to me. Like that's what I have them as, 1 1/4 star.
I have it
Uh,
actually over the Ghost Rider movies because
No, no.
Tom Sizemore.
Tom Sizemore is great in it, but the Ghost Riders, now look, do I have them just above here in my list? Yes. But also, I do think they're slightly unfairly maligned. We covered both of them early in the podcasting career, as it were, but they were the first one was genuinely had some funny moments, very bad hair, but we'll get to that. But the second one was so bizarre and clearly had run into issues during filming and editing of it that made it not purposefully, but accidentally strange enough to be interesting. I don't think it stands up to any of the heavy hitters or any of the mid-tier gatekeepers that we have, but I do feel like they're getting less than their due, personally.
I just realized I had a typo on my list. I had USS Indianapolis over Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is psychotic to do.
I have a couple of those too. 22 films is tough to keep track of as you're trying to place these.
33 is going to be even harder.
It's just going to be a mess. I'm assuming it's just going to be yelling. I think we're just going to be arguing about the top 10 spots and the rest of the list falls off from there. Who knows?
I think the next one we're going to have a cork board with like the psychotic conspiracy theory yarn
Just
going
yarn
across
lines.
this.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. So just to reiterate, my fourth worst movie was USS Indianapolis. Josh, what was your fourth worst movie?
Knowing. I have Indianapolis ahead of Knowing.
And Ryan, what was yours?
Knowing as well, yeah. Knowing is my 4.
Okay, number 5 for me is Knowing. I feel like it is interchangeable with USS Indianapolis. It's a bit more boring, but that middle part of the USS Indianapolis is just, it was so incredibly slow for me. It was a chore to watch. So that's why I put Knowing above it. But it's still, they're both 1 1/4 star for me.
I get it.
Honestly, the only reason that USS is as high as it is on my list is that the Cage performance at the end when he's being court-martialed, I thought was quite excellent. For
That was well done. And then you have Sizemore carrying like the first half to a third of the film.
Yeah.
Whereas Knowing has the Googling 9/11 bit, and then the rest of it is just dry and weird.
Yeah, so we're sort of in agreement with our bottom 5 that are in some order is Next Christmas Carol, G-Force, USS Indianapolis, and Knowing.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with letting USS Indianapolis be below the Ghost Riders. I think that might have been a misstep on my part.
Well, funny you should say that because next up for me is the first Ghost Rider at 1.5 stars.
I have the first Ghost Rider in the 17 slot as well.
And then right above that, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. I put it higher because Idris Elba kind of carried that.
Not only did Idris Elba carry it, but the movie ended up so weird after it got off the cutting room floor that I did genuinely enjoy it. Now, part of that enjoyment was me going through my head where it was like they filmed a very different movie than they put out, and that was entertaining to me.
All right. After that, for me, it's Valley Girl. Not a movie that I enjoyed more than Spirit of Vengeance, but I could tell, like, in my mind's eye that it's a better movie. I tried to kind of be objective as to separate what I thought was good versus what I enjoyed, if that makes sense. Like, for example, I low-key enjoyed 8mm. Upon like revisiting it, it's not good. The end of the movie really, really kills it. Like, just destroys any goodwill it had. But I enjoy it. So
I don't even necessarily agree with that. I think just because I think we hold 8mm to the standard that we knew it could have been, maybe how it was written before Schumacher and Hollywood really got their hooks into it. But even by itself, it's a strong film. You know what I mean? I think we're being picky based on what could have been there. But I mean, it's still in my top 10 personally. But
yeah,
mine got dropped. I dropped mine to like let me see, 12 actually.
Wow.
Wow. I've got it at 8.
I got it at 7.
Yeah, I dropped it. I think that because I rewatched it, man, that ending really put a bad taste in my mouth. Really, really put a bad taste in my mouth.
So to keep us from getting ahead of ourselves, I actually have the next spot here for me is Sorcerer's Apprentice. Real middle of the road, not quite middle of the list. Very serviceable, I think, as like a kid, young adult movie. I'm not even sure exactly.
It's the only children's movie on the list I actually enjoyed.
Because I think more it's like quote unquote young adult, right? It's like Harry Potter, but less transphobic.
It's got an actual like narrative arc to it, unlike G-Force and Christmas Carol, which are, you know, like a rehash of a 150-year-old story and basically an extended episode of a bad cartoon.
Right now, I have that next on my list right after Valley Girl. I thought Sorcerer's Apprentice was better than Valley Girl. I know what I just said, but I'm going to go back on that and be like, I just enjoyed it more, which I'm going to be inconsistent. Fuck you.
That's what this is about. I'm sorry if anybody here listening thinks that there is objective opinions about movies. Fuck you, you're wrong. And also, it's all about gut feeling. Anybody you listen to or read that has opinions about movies is just fucking making it up. It's the same thing as fashion. If enough people agree that a certain thing is not stupid, then it becomes not stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like this. Listen, there's going to be people who are listening to this or people who exist in general who probably fucking love, I don't know, G-Force. Maybe.
I don't think so.
Well, they're wrong. They're objectively wrong.
Okay, fine. I know somebody in my life who objectively loves Knowing.
That's
okay.
I can see
That's
at least.
fine.
That's a movie.
Fine.
G-Force is barely a movie.
I agree. Knowing you can defend, I just don't think it brings the guns to the fight in this list that it needs to. That's all. And that's also just my opinion.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Knowing is going to slowly creep up like the ratio of the bottom just by how many bad direct to DVD movies we're going to have to watch.
I think it's going to be the buoy. I think it's going to set the low watermark for things because yeah,
Right,
we
so,
have
like,
it low, but
yeah, so like if Between Worlds is the gatekeeper to the top tier, Knowing is going to be like, you know, Hades. What's up, Zero?
guard in the house. But yeah, no, that's right. That's right. Maybe Knowing is our ferryman. That's the one that takes the movies to the other side.
Karen, dude with the fucking coins. Icons.
Yes. All right, so what was that? We were talking about number 15, right?
Correct.
All right, so 14, I have Sorcerer's Apprentice.
So, and I'll admit this freely. I think this, when I first looked at it, I thought maybe this is a fuck up. But on second look, I actually think this is correct. So in my 14 slot, I have Zandali. And I have that just under Valley Girl coming in at 13. And it gave me pause because Zandali is probably a more interesting film overall. But I think Valley Girl is a more coherent film and better put together. Not aged well. I'll agree with that, but there's also some pretty fucking questionable things in Zandali as well. So we're just going to call that a wash.
I mean, I got Zandali at 11.
I have it at 13.
Although I will tell you this, my 11 spot is adaptation, and it will take very little convincing for me to swap that with Zandali.
Yeah, I think
and
adaptation needs to
lists.
be lower on this list. Just it's our podcast list. I don't care what any critic says. I think that movie is a damn fart.
Oh, you see, I lowered it, but like my adaptation's is at 5.
Mm-mm.
No, that ain't
Outside
breaking
my
double
top.
digits.
Oh, we are gonna be hitting the fight soon. We're actually gonna be hitting the fight in like 2 or 3 movies. I know it. So that was our 14. So my 13 is Zandali.
Okay. So in blocks of 5, if order doesn't matter, we are all pretty much of a like mind so far.
Yeah, this is, I think my list, I think my 12 is going to be the first thing that's going to throw everyone for a loop. I think my 12, my 5, my 4, and possibly my 8 are going to be the ones that you guys are going to be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, we're getting there. At least, look, let's say at the very least, with some minor variation, we can agree on the lower half of this list to a certain extent. We're almost there. We're almost to the top 10, which is, I think, where things are going to get a little bit ugly. But so far, we're roughly in agreement.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to take this time to let everybody know that this is going to be on our Patreon, which is Nick Cage Fight. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. Patreon.com/Nick Cage Fight. Josh put a lot of work into this, so I am going to put it behind the $3 tier. So, and I mean, like, listen, this has a lot of information on it. So if you want to look at this thing and view our absolute madness, go and throw us each $1. We appreciate
like
it.
dollars. Give us dollars.
Yeah, I would like $1, please.
Money can be used to purchase goods and services.
But I wanted a peanut.
Dollars can buy many peanuts. So yeah, there's the Patreon plug. Seamless.
Fantastic. Masterfully done.
All right, so I'm going to go to the 12 because I'm going to be ready to be told that I'm a fucking idiot.
What's your 12?
8mm.
No, you're undervaluing it.
Yeah, I think
Schumacher
so.
got in your head.
I got
Schumacher.
I got adaptation at my 12.
Schumacher is living rent-free in my head over this movie because, again, I watched it again 2 or 3 days ago and was basically just screaming the last, I don't know, 35 minutes of the film.
But consider, if you will, James Gandolfini.
Oh, and when
He's
we get
the only reason why it was ranked this high. Because
Okay, what about Joaquin and his Funky Phoenix?
That's the problem. When he dies, spoiler alert, you listened to the fucking podcast already. Shut up. When he dies, the movie takes a sharp turn downhill. Like that's where it is for me.
I don't necessarily agree. And here's the other thing. I'm going to point this out because this is my 12 spot, and I want to hear your defense to why this movie is higher than 8mm on your list. My 12 spot is Honeymoon in Vegas.
I actually can't argue with that. I think I've got that at 13, actually.
I have it at 8. Number one, Joel Schumacher didn't come in and fuck with it, so that's a plus.
Honeymoon in Vegas was a Mel Brooks knockoff, and it wasn't bad, but I don't think it brought the comedic chops.
I don't know if I agree that it's a Mel Brooks knockoff.
Really?
Yeah, like the way the narrative works. I don't think Mel Brooks really writes stories that straight unless he's doing straight parody, like Young Frankenstein. That is clearly he's just taking a story from another medium and remixing that for his own purposes. But like most of his stuff, like Blazing Saddles isn't that straightforward. Vertigo isn't that straightforward. Silent Movie isn't even that straightforward.
I don't disagree with that part. I'm talking about the characters and the sort of the shticks of the jokes. There's some more coherent, straightforward narrative in there, but the main thing that made me compare it to a Brooks film was Peter Boyle's character as the chief. When I saw that, I got strong Brooks vibes from it, and I don't think that it necessarily stands up to its inspirations there. It's still a perfectly serviceable film, but
so I think it feels more like a My Cousin Vinny knockoff than a Mel Brooks knockoff, personally.
That's fair. I mean, I might have just been going with the broadest lane as far as what it reminded me of, but the My Cousin Vinny, that works too. I still, don't think overall as a film it has the same strength that 8mm has, personally.
So, okay, the first thing it's going to have for me is I am a sucker for both a Vegas movie and a gambling movie. Put those two things in a movie and I am in for it. It does not matter what's around it. Like, I'm going to sit down and at least have some moderate enjoyment out of it. I thought that, again, Joel Schumacher didn't ruin it, which I take as a personal slight. Is he dead? Did Joel Schumacher die?
I don't.
Yeah, he
think
died
so.
2 years ago.
Oh, good.
Did he?
Good.
Yeah,
We'll never get another
22nd,
Schumacher
2020.
Batman.
Yep.
For
No more
fucking
Bat
over for fucking over 8mm. God, just thinking about 8mm, just it makes me fucking angry. That movie should have been in the 1 or 2 spot of this list.
I mean, if we're just shit talking a dead man, I'd also like to point out that his Phantom of the Opera sucks shit as well.
Yeah, I'm fine shit talking a dead person.
You know, it's funny. Apparently, his last directorial efforts were 2 episodes of the American version of House of Cards.
Good. That show fucking sucked. That show was terrible.
Oh my God. I didn't realize he directed the number 23, the gritty Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah, Joel Schumacher.
I kind of like that
sucks.
one. That one's
no,
stupid.
it's bad.
I didn't
it's
hate
bad,
it.
but
Stupid.
it's fun.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but it's not a good movie.
God, no. But it is a fun movie, and I like fun.
I do too.
So, long story short, to go back to Honeymoon in Vegas, I thought it was fun. Again, love gambling, love Vegas. I thought that the performance, now obviously Gandolfini in 8mm was tremendous. You could tell that in the last, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, Nick Cage kind of started phoning it in. I think so, at least. That's what I saw. I saw somebody who probably was heavily invested in the movie because his performance in the first hour 15 was so incredibly different than his performance in the last 40 minutes, which honestly kind of it reminded me of like Next, like his performance there where he just fucking mailed it in.
I can't stand for that slander. First of all, just you want to bring Next into the conversation. You can't include 8mm at that point. And also
Cannon will.
No.
Also, you can't hang that anchor around 8mm's neck and then throw it into the lake. You can't do that to it.
You are correct as far as coming at Schumacher a bit. Absolutely changed the film to the point that the writer didn't want to be associated with the project anymore. Fine. Thought the third act was weak. Also fine. Although I don't know how many, opportunities Cage got on screen as far as solid acting is concerned when it's largely based on like the, revenge bit that's coming in. Are you including the call to the mother of the victim in that? Because I thought that was
tremendous.
Scene.
That was tremendous. But like, the rest of the end, just the tonal shift.
So you got the fight scene with the machine, basically.
That was bad. It was a bad fight scene. They gave Machine kind of, I would have rather Machine been a final boss, and he wasn't. It was the dude from season 2 of The Wire.
The dude from True Blood.
God damn, I wasn't going to say it.
I forgot that was that man.
Well, all right. So
listen, when your final boss of the movie is fucking Frank Sabaka, like just throw a Polish sausage at him. It's fine.
So the conceit, I agree with you that the conceit was a little bit weak. What they were going for is that evil can just be like this normal fucking weird dude who loves Danzig and lives with his mother. It's supposed to be a commentary on the like normalness of monstrosity. And I agree with you. That's a little bit of a wet noodle of an ending to an otherwise kind of hardcore film.
And I do think it was kind of cheesy that they just made him a fucking bad metalhead. His taste in metal is dog shit. I like Dio, but like that's not what you fucking use as your metal cred.
Nah. But so like here's the thing though, is that they tried to toe this line between like he's a nerd, but then he goes on to have like this intense fight scene that he almost wins. Pick a side, have him like do one of two things, have him be this meaty badass who is actually tough to overcome and, has a solid reason for doing what he does. And again, the reason of I do what I do because I like to do it, that's fine with me. But in the last scene, they made him look like a nerd. Like after the fight scene, they made him look like a nerd, which again is fine, but don't have him go toe to toe with a detective. Have the detective come in and he is like masturbating to snuff films and starts crying when Nick Cage puts a gun to his head. like that to me would have been a more cathartic ending.
Maybe that was the original ending.
Yeah,
But
no, I don't disagree with you. That description is solid. That would have been a better fucking ending to that film, I think. I can't argue with that, but I don't necessarily and by all means, I want you to inject your personal feelings into your picks and be personally offended when somebody disagrees with it.
I am personally offended by this. Like,
that's good radio, baby.
Yeah, I highly recommend that. But at the same time, you know, what like you being able to write a better ending to the film, and maybe the original writer being able to write a better ending to the film versus what we got, I don't think necessarily adds some negative points to the film we ended up with. So I am surprised by that. Also,
right, let's do this. Let's do this. Hang on, because we have to talk about this film again in like 10 minutes.
Yes, we do.
When you guys tell me, oh, it's number 7 because of A, B, and C, and I'm gonna vehemently disagree with it. Tell me what your guys' number 12 was, and then we're gonna take an ad break so I can get my Venom back up for when we have to talk about this fucking film again.
Okay. Sure. Like I said, my 12 was Honeymoon in Vegas. I thought it was a fine film, but a little derivative. Didn't quite hit the comedic notes that I think it thought it was punching at, but otherwise fine. Close. Almost can touch top 10 from there. I think that's fair.
And I got Adaptation at 12, and I'm honestly a little bit pissed at myself that it's higher than Zandali.
I'm mad at you too, actually. I mean, I have Adaptation.
Oh, wait, no, it's not.
Higher.
I fixed that. Zandali's 11.
Oh, so I have Adaptation like way higher, but we can talk about that because I feel like with 8mm, with like I have to defend my take on this. I'm gonna have to defend my take on Adaptation because I know the both of you have a similar take, which is different than my take, which is I thought it was a good movie.
You agree with the mainstream critics on this one.
I know, and I hate myself for it. I really hate myself for it.
I just think it's a bad, like, I've read enough David Foster Wallace in my day to know when there's bad postmodernism, and that's bad postmodernism.
Like, I understand the whole Charlie Kaufman masturbating to himself aspect of it. Like, I get that. And while I think that it's bad, I don't think that it's egregious to the point where, like, I still think the movie is interesting. It doesn't have anything interesting to say. No. But I still thought that, like, oh, this left turn was kind of funny and I enjoyed it.
I think the movie is about not having something interesting to say.
Yeah.
It's throwing your hands up in the air and going, I can't do this, boo boo boo, and then sort of just slapping yourself on the back so hard you break your fucking arm. That's my opinion. But so just to clarify, that's my 11 spot. I won't put it in the top 10. I'll give a nod to it in general. But like I said, I think it's a failure of writing, and it's a movie made about the failure of writing, which I don't think needs to be enshrined in media. I don't understand that. I'm also confused by the critical acclaim, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I mean, critics love movies about the creative process. If you can't tell, I'm doing a jerk off motion.
Yeah, but it's about the failure of the creative process, which I find the main reason why I hate it so much is I feel bad for the person who wrote the fucking book.
Who hated the ending, at least to start with, if I read it correctly. Like, now she kind of doesn't care.
She had to get talked around to it. And I almost like I read the interviews and everything like that, and I feel almost like it was like you'll get fucking royalties for years. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't screw this up for us type situation. But the movie is like the celebration of a dipshit not getting what you wrote or being able to make it poignant in a different media, a different medium, which is offensive. Just drop the project at that point, and instead of making it, you know, or enshrining one person's narcissism. I don't think it's a good showing at all. But two Nick Cages on the screen and him saying some goofy shit and masturbating to an author's photo, there's some redeeming qualities, but overall, I can't really get past the writing, the failure of writing that produced that film. That's my personal opinion. It might be a bad one, but I'm not changing it.
All right, so let's do this because we're going to talk about this movie again when we get to how high it is on my list. So like how I'm getting my Venom up for 8mm, get your Venom up for adaptation, and let's hear some ads.
All right, before we get into the ads though, if it's
don't
apply
ahead.
to them, and if it's telling you to take a vacation and visit the Amish, to consider doing something else. That's my 2 cents. And we're back. Hope you enjoy those products. They're probably great products.
Unless
they
it's
might
the
not
Amish
be.
or
They might
Ice.
have been services.
Or services. But if they go against our ideological underpinnings, of course, feel free to ignore them, and of course, fast forward through them on re-listens.
Yeah, I mean, fast forward through them now. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
we
that's
get
true.
paid either way, fuckers.
Yeah, fully agree.
That's right. We just got your 4 cents.
God, the ad game is a motherfucker, isn't it?
It sure is.
The ad game does in fact fuck mothers.
All right, so we're
Indeed.
going to number 11, which I heard one of you say adaptation. Was that you,
Yep.
Josh?
Yep.
All right, so let's go to Ryan because we just talked about adaptation. So we need to get our ire up again for that.
At 11, I got Zandali.
You know what? I know how much you love that movie. I'm
It was
perfectly
filthy.
okay.
I love a
mean,
filthy film.
I have it at 13. You have it at 11. Josh, what do you have it at?
14.
Right. So
But-
it's all kind of there.
I'm a little disappointed because Ryan, you could have treated this with a level of court intrigue and hit me up on the side and just been like, I'll agree with what you say about this movie if you put Zandali above adaptation. And I would have been like, sold. I would have sold it for less than that. You fool. And honestly, looking at it now, you know, I say I'll stick to my bad decisions and defend them because I'm stubborn and don't learn lessons. But I do think I could very easily, with no pangs of guilt, swap Zandali from 14 to 11 and move adaptation down without thinking about it for a second. It's just that Zandali
It's a more interesting film than adaptation.
It
You got
is.
to admit that at least.
And okay, yes, I will admit that. And also, just as a fuck you to the both of you, I gave 8mm and Zandali 2.5 stars each. I could make Zandali 13 and 8mm 14 or whatever I had them at.
So the main thing that's holding back Zandali on my list is its lack of coherence. Adaptation is a more competently put together film. I can disagree with the writing all fucking day long and am happy to do so. It's just Zandali was more scattered. It wasn't as tightly tuned a film as adaptation. And that again is with my quibbles against the writing in general. It's just a more tightly put together film. You know, maybe that goes to the editing and production money that they had to throw out the budget in general.
Oh yeah, Zandali is a low budget. Like I'm pretty sure they intended that to go on Skinamax or some shit.
That sounds about right. Zandali had more compelling individual scenes. It had more compelling performances, in my opinion, with the exception of Cage. Cage fucking killed it in adaptation. I just hated the fucking writing.
Dude, he kills it in Zandali. Like,
and wait a minute, let's
black it out.
Hang on for 1 minute, because Meryl Streep was great in adaptation, and so was the dude who I can't remember his name right now. The guy who played the Orchid Hunter, and so was Brian Cox.
I don't disagree with that, but Judge Reinhardt brought the fucking fire.
Oh, he did
Zandali.
bring the smoke.
And here's the thing. I am going to disagree with Ryan here because I thought some of what Cage brought to the table in Zandali was wooden. I don't know if it's a consequence of the dialogue as written, but he brought more reality to the scenes in adaptation than Zandali. That's my personal opinion and feeling. Again, I don't know if he was working with wonky dialogue and just did the best with what, you know, he was handed.
Oh, the dialogue is way wonky in Zandali. It's written in like borderline poetic prose that just doesn't work. And I think it's more interesting because of that.
I don't disagree, except for the fact that Reinhardt fucking slaughtered it. with his lines.
He
And
absolutely
Cage did
yeah.
not bring the same level of heart. So if it wasn't such a lopsided match with the other leads, I probably wouldn't have noticed it as much. But, you know, Cage did do a great job in adaptation. I just disliked the story and how it was written. So,
and I do have to also admit that Erica Anderson was kind of wooden and Zandali as well.
Oh yeah,
she couldn't keep the accent straight on that one. But otherwise, I don't have a whole lot of complaints about her. I think her character was written very poorly for that film. Having not explored the source material, I don't know how much of that was lost in the conversion to film. But
well, like I mentioned during the episode, it's not exactly a one-to-one adaptation of that novel. It's more like they're borrowing some stuff they thought was neat from it. If you want a better actual adaptation of Tsuri-Rakin, I would suggest, oh, actually, I didn't put the editor's note in, so this is a good time for me to correct myself from last episode. Thirst, the South Korean vampire film, not Bong Joon-ho. It's Park Chan-wook, the old boy guy, not the Parasite dude.
Both great. I recommend checking out all their shit. But yes, good. I'm glad we got that cleared up. I know that was keeping you up at night.
It definitely was.
I know.
All right, so I'm gonna try to keep this moving because according to my time, like we're at 48 minutes.
Yeah, we know we're gonna be a two-parter.
This is a twofer. We're not even through the overall rankings. We're gonna have to dedicate all of episode to the ancillary categories.
Yeah, and probably the second half of this one too. Jesus. So we were at 12, so now we're at 11, and I have a feeling our probably 10 and 11 is going to include this movie for all of us. I have my 11 as Kiss of Death.
I don't know if this is a position that listeners or my co-hosts have caught on to, but I think that we've been disrespecting Kiss of Death a little bit in general.
I think so as well.
I have Kiss of Death a little bit higher than that.
I couldn't put it above Between Worlds, and I have a feeling my Between Worlds ranking is a little bit lower than the two of you.
Oh, but yeah, definitely. But Kiss of Death breaks the top 10 easy.
But I did give Between Worlds respect with 3.5 stars. Kiss of Death, I did give 2 3/4 because, again, David Caruso is a charisma vacuum.
Yeah, he's boring as hell, but Nick Cage rules.
But everything else in that movie is good. I thought the plot was good. Everything was good. It's just David Caruso is so bad that it kept it out of my top 10.
So my 11 is adaptation.
Okay.
Kiss of Death is in my top 10 and probably not where you would expect it. And I agree that Caruso is wooden, but I think you're overlooking how well he does some elements of it. The badass action. Thanks, Zero. The badass action parts are completely unbelievable with Caruso.
Oh, I know what you're about to say. Yeah.
The cerebral parts where he delivers, like, he's like, oh, well, you're just, to like the DA, he's like, oh, you're just fucking me over. This is just to make a case. You don't give a shit about any of this stuff. I think his cerebral lines were delivered beautifully. The tense parts of the film where he's treading the line, trying to not get caught with a wire and shit, I think work perfectly. And I think the overall ratio favors the cerebral parts versus the he can actually kick ass parts. So I think it's a better film in general than maybe we've given it credit for on the pod, because he clearly, and I think history and his career will dictate, can't make it as a lead man in films. This was literally the proof in the pudding was Kiss of Death, where he had like jumped off of and it's been a while since we did this film, but I think he jumped off some TV projects to try and become a leading man with Kiss of Death, and it didn't really work out. But I think if you leaned into the cerebral with him, if he picked his roles a little bit better or had a better agent, I think it would have been a very different result, personally.
So just out of curiosity, so I have this at number 11. Whatever film, you said you have adaptation at number 11, right? What's your star rating for your 11 film?
3.5.
I got a flat 3 for my 11.
So I'm 2 3/4, and my top 10 is very crowded. Ryan, I'm sorry, what was your number 11 again?
Zandali.
Okay, perfect. that is on brand as hell. So I'm gonna say we get right into the top 10. Are we
Sounds
ready
good
for
to
it?
me. Yep.
Number 10.
Number 10. Now I'm going to give these my star rating just so we know how crowded everything is. My number 10 is a 3.5 stars. And I have been saying this for a while now that this is the gatekeeper. This is what separates the wheat from the chaff. And it's Between Worlds for me is number 10. I do admit before people jump down my throat that I do think I may have ranked this a little bit low. But I think that this is an important film in the Cage filmography, at least where we have it right now, where this is the bottom of the really good movies,
That's
as
fair.
far as I'm concerned. But like, if
I definitely have it higher on mine, but I mean, I've spoken at length about how much I love Between Worlds.
Ryan, you and I are both gonna piss off Rich with our number 10 spot.
I think so, yeah.
We agreed.
Oh, if you do it, don't you do it. I know what it's going to be. And I have this film at number 4.
You know what it
Gone
is.
in
Say
60
it.
seconds.
I want to hear you say it, Rich.
Is it Kill Chain?
No.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. What is it? Gone in 60 seconds?
Yeah.
60 seconds,
That's my
yeah,
number
yeah.
9. That's my number 9. I do not find this egregious at all.
Okay.
Gone in 60 Seconds is my number 9. It is 3 3/4 star. So, believe it or not, I actually had Between Worlds ahead of Gone in 60 Seconds. But in my head canon, I was like, I have been saying this film is the gatekeeper. I want it to stay that way, at least for now. And Gone in 60 Seconds is a legitimate good movie. So that is the only reason why I put it just a hair lower than Gone in 60 Seconds.
I think it's a better movie than Gone in 60 Seconds.
I am not going to disagree with you because I actually think you're correct. And I think I'll probably correct this wrong.
God, it's so fucked up that I love this
next
movie so
ranking.
much. And yes, I do think it's better than Gone in 60 Seconds as well.
It's all right.
So I don't disagree with either one of you. Again, just in my head canon, I have this as the gatekeeper of the good movies, and that's why it is so low. It's probably going to be boosted up within the next ranking. I'm sorry, Josh, I cut you off.
No. So here's my thing, right? Gone in 60 Seconds is a good film, but in the classic vein of storytelling, right? Between Worlds is a good film because it's fucking batshit crazy. It's batshit crazy in a way that is challenging and interesting and bizarre. You can't look away from it. And that brings a different dynamic to the table than Gone in 60 Seconds does.
Now, when you say that you couldn't look away from it, at first I thought it was a train wreck. But the more I watched it, the more I realized they were going for something, and they absolutely stuck the landing, which is completely bizarre for that movie.
I agree. I think it's a film that is challenging. It's strange and weird and oddly meta. Like it's making a commentary on itself to a certain degree.
And to the entire career of Nick Cage. There are multiple moments in that movie that are direct references to previous movies he had been in.
Agreed.
I have to give this another watch because I did watch it, but I kind of consumed it the way I consume most media while I am farming in World of Warcraft. So I think maybe this deserves a big screen. Like I'm going to sit down and watch this.
Show it to your friends. Show it to your family.
I've shown it to at least 2 people. They both loved it.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's certainly, if you're in like a movie watching club or group, or your friends do anything like that, bring this film. It's going to get weird. You're going to get in touch with your feelings to a certain degree, but people will remember it.
So let's go to number 9, since my 9 and your guys' 10 is the same film, which is Gone in 60 Seconds.
I have Between Worlds at 9.
I got Kiss of Death at 9.
Do you have Between Worlds at 8?
No.
Oh,
no, I think he's got. Okay, I'm gonna take a bet that he has Between Worlds at 3 or 4.
Is Between Worlds in your top 5?
No.
Oh, damn. Okay.
No.
No, that's fair.
I mean, I like it a lot, but I think there are better films on this list. I have to admit that. I'm not psychotic.
Fair.
I mean, I am, because I did rank Kill Chain at 4.
Yo, I got Kill Chain at 5. I don't disagree. Kill Chain whipped ass.
I recommended Kill Chain to both of you, and I have it at 6.
I recommend Kill Chain to everyone. But let's talk about
My
Gone in
mom
60
would like Kill
Seconds.
Chain. I should tell my mom to watch Kill Chain.
Yeah,
It's a good
recommend it
movie.
to everyone. It's delicious. But let's talk about Gone in 60 Seconds. I thought it was a more accessible remake of. I mean, the original is really good, but I can see where a lot of people would fall off. During the 40 or 45-minute car chase scene. Like, it's a long car chase scene.
It's a movie not made by filmmakers. It was made by a stunt guy.
Man.
Yes, exactly. And he didn't really know how to write a script or direct or get proper coverage on what he was filming. It was him just having a good time. And I think that really shows through in the movie, but it is kind of an unfocused mess if you look at it on a broad view.
Yeah, I agree. And the remake of Gone in 60 Seconds, I think, does a very good and faithful job of probably taking, a film that, I always forget the guy's name who directed and wrote it. What was his name? I thought you know off the top of your head. It's fine.
H.B. Halicki. Should have remembered that.
So if he were alive when Gone in 60 Seconds came out, I think that he would have said, like, you know what, this is a movie that if I were better at directing and writing, because I think he would probably be the first person to tell you that he wasn't good at those things. He only directed one movie and he only wrote one movie, and it was Gone in 60 Seconds.
Well, he wrote the second one. It just didn't get made because he died prior to filming it.
Right. I think that the remake of Gone in 60 Seconds would be a movie that he would probably look at and be like, this is what I was trying to go for if I were better at A, B, and C.
I think he would have wanted more car chases.
You know what? You're probably right. I thought the car chase at the end with, why am I blanking on the car's name? I'm so sorry.
Eleanor?
Eleanor.
Yes. With Eleanor, that probably could have been a little bit longer.
A little longer, and I think the CG at the end where it jumps the bridge was a little cheesy, but
I didn't
overall
need that.
It was a fun chase scene.
Hey,
Yeah.
they had the tire kiss the top of that ambulance, and it's that level of attention to detail that I appreciated.
Yeah, I agree. Again, we all have it around the same area, so I think we're basically all in agreement. Do we want to go to 8?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go to 8.
Let's go to 8. I got Honeymoon in Vegas at 8 for all the reasons that I have already stated that everyone will disagree with me.
It's not a bad film, but at 8 I have.
It's just not for me.
Yeah,
and that's why it's lower.
Oh yeah, no, and I completely get that. Whereas, Next was a movie that was genetically made to piss off Josh. Honeymoon in Vegas was a movie that was genetically made to make me happy.
You like
it's good rich
gambling
bait
films?
Yeah,
good dick bait.
Absolutely, it's great dick bait.
You like gambling films? I do too. But as far as gambling films are concerned in general, like, I know it's sort of like this rom-com style thing, but as somebody who also likes gambling films, like, you've got The Cooler, which in my opinion is one of the tip tops. You even have like the middle of the pack of gambling films, which I would argue this is closer to the upper third, but Mississippi Grind was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then you have a number of them. We could have a whole separate, maybe a Patreon discussion of gambling films. I'm down for that.
There's some good ass ones. I mean, there's this. You ever see the James Caan one, The Gambler? That movie
of course.
And that's,
You have that. You have Rounders, which was obviously phenomenal.
Croupier with what's his face?
I saw that recently, and that was
that's a good ass movie. Yeah,
Croupier was very solid.
What's that dude's name? Why am I drawing a blank? He's in Gosford
Clive
Park.
Owen.
Clive Owen. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Shoot 'em up. Children of Men, which is a movie that actually makes me cry.
Real quick, can we have a quick sidebar on Shoot 'em up? So that was an action movie love letter to Looney Tunes, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Especially, maybe he kills like 3 people with a carrot.
He does like, he's basically doing What's Up, Doc, with the carrot through parts of it, and the sex scene where he ends up killing a bunch of people. I'm like, this is grown up Looney Tunes. That's what this is.
Seeing that in a theater with no context was so excellent.
I saw it in theaters with no context. that's fantastic. All right, cool. Shoot 'em up sidebar concluded.
Shoot 'em up is so fun. I gotta rewatch that soon. Actually,
let's do that together. I'm interested.
I haven't seen it, so I would
love to be
you
like seeing dudes get killed by carrots.
Yeah.
Podcast
You're gonna
movie
like
night.
shoot him up.
We're gonna have to do it.
And it's got kind of like a lone wolf and cub thing going on too, because there's the whole baby that he's trying to protect. It's a good ass movie.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Did y'all see that Andrew Tate got arrested?
Yes.
No. Oh
Yeah.
hell yeah. Was it for,
Human trafficking?
Human
Yes.
trafficking.
Oh, it was for sex crimes. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Glad he's in jail. Fuck that
Onward.
dude.
I'm sorry. Okay. So I had Honeymoon in Vegas as my 8. What were you guys 8s again? I'm sorry.
I had Kiss of Death.
I got 8
Okay.
millimeter at 8.
Appropriate.
No, it's not. Joel Schumacher continues to laugh at me from the grave for this fucking movie.
It's
As
a
he
good
rubs his bad
movie.
nipples.
It's not a good movie.
It's a
it was
good
almost
movie.
a good movie.
No,
it's like an hour and 15 of an excellent film. And then like I don't think the rest of it drags it down enough that I can put it lower than this.
Oh, I hard disagree. The last 40 minutes were such a slog. Oh my god, I hated it.
You're
I hated it.
haunted by the vision of what the movie could have been, but you forget that when we eventually make the Nick Cage Fight podcast soundboard, half of the clips are going to be from this fucking movie.
Yeah, and only one of the clips will be from the bad part, which is the did he come part. Did you
Oh,
watch him
God.
come?
Did you watch him come?
Yeah, that
You
part of
almost
the movie
got-
is still in the good part of the movie.
No, it's not. No,
Yes,
it is not.
Yes, it is.
Look, any movie that's got that line in it's good. I don't care.
100%, dude. The weight of that entire movie could rest on the shoulders of that line alone, in my
Oh
opinion.
my god, I'm tired.
You gotta get us to the 6th spot before we move on to the next episode.
I know.
man.
7 is Snake Eyes because Regency bias.
No, 7 is 8 millimeter for me.
Oh my god, fuck you. Fuck you so hard.
Yeah. 7 is Between Worlds for me.
Okay, that's
fair.
fine. That's on brand. I agree.
All right,
God,
what's
can we
everybody's
never-
6th spot?
Can we never talk about 8 millimeter again? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
talk
I'm fine
about-
with that.
All right.
I got Bad Lieutenant at 6.
I got Kill Chain
Ooh.
at 6.
Spicy. I have Vampire's Kiss at 6.
Oh, Vampire's Kiss is better than that.
Yeah.
So here's the thing is, well, we'll get to it when we talk about my 5 that I think you guys may have actually worn me down on, but that'll be for
Yeah,
the
that's our
next
cliffhanger.
episode.
That-
I think my 5 you guys may have worn me down on.
So I do just want to take a brief minute to talk about, because like the Bad Lieutenant, I love me some Herzog, so it just edged out Kill Chain for me personally, despite the fact that Kill Chain is a good movie. It's kind of criminal, I think, that it didn't get a wider release than it got. It's a good flick. It's
Yeah,
a solid flick.
Honestly,
I
my 5 and
rewatched
6
it
could
yesterday.
flip flop either way. I have I agree. Kill Chain rules. Bad Lieutenant also rules. Bad Lieutenant I
Yeah.
think is a little bit more unhinged, but
We're kind of
you know.
getting to the movies that I think outside of my number 5, we're all going to agree like, okay, yeah, this movie fucks.
I agree. I honestly, the Kill Chain got edged out by the Herzog. Herzog lent a level of credibility, and also, not for nothing, the absolute nonsense insanity of Cage in Bad Lieutenant bumped it up on my list too.
Yes, same
It
with
should
me.
probably be higher on mine just by virtue of Lucky Crack Pipe.
So
okay.
we will,
Appreciate.
we'll also. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I appreciate the dedication to Kill Chain. This was one of the ones that we came into this where I'd already seen it and told everybody when it showed up on the list. I was like, y'all are gonna love this, and I'm happy to be proven right. That's so I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I figured that we can talk about some of the movies we just talked about in the next episode because Kill Chain is in my top 5. Snake Eyes is, I think, in both of you guys' top 5.
Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely.
And
Fucking love Snake
Vampire's
Eyes.
Kiss is in both of your guys' top 5 as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
Like-
the
and
number
like I
one
said,
I think
yeah,
is
then-
not getting dethroned.
yeah, no,
For a
I-
while at least.
yeah.
At least until we get to a Scorsese.
So we can talk about those during part 2, and you can follow us on Twitter, Josh.
Yeah, at CageFight_pod. Go on there. Because now at this point, I'm just gonna say, if you appreciate this shit, if you have a Twitter, go on there, because honestly, before we get to the next ranking episode, I kind of feel like doing a vote bracket.
That'd
I
be
kind of want to hear from the
interesting.
people.
I was
And-
thinking maybe we could do a little like a promotion. Can we give away like a 1 month Patreon or something like that? Is that an option for us?
Yes, I can do that.
Yeah, maybe give us a follow on Twitter, and maybe we could throw you a 1 month Patreon so you get some of those ad-free episodes.
Yeah, I'm about that life.
One random giveaway, of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
I'm
interested.
still about that life.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's we'll get the details for the contest together for the next episode, but number of follows within the next set period of time that we throw out from the airing of this episode, one of those people will get a month subscription to the Patreon. Fair?
Sounds good to me.
All right, I'm into it.
All right, I already plugged my Patreon, or our Patreon. I don't know why I said my Patreon. I'm hoarding the money, guys. Patreon.com/Nick Cage Fight. $3 tier gets you, all of these episodes ad free. Then you get other cool stuff too that's on there. I think I said last time, read. Just read it because I kind of forget. And I don't feel like reading it. I'm lazy. You're not.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Tune into the next episode where we finish our first category and run through the rest of them. More fool us for thinking that, hey, maybe we could wrap this up in one episode. But as always, listeners, we appreciate you.
Oh, hang on. I'm going to tie in something. We are going to speed run the other lists like Ryan is going to speed run G-Force once we get 10 Patreon subscribers.
Give us money, contribute to my degrading mental health.
There you go. That's a segue, people. That's how you do it in the business.
Bye-bye.